thanks for coming. We're here to support, I hope, the fight to keep Neath Post Office as a Crown Office. This is very important because its status as a Crown Office, as I'll explain, allows it to offer all sorts of services that if, as the Post Office is planning and consulting on now, it were to be moved out and put in a section of a shop, it would lose a lot of services. It would cease to be a Crown Office with all the facilities that that means. And this is about the quality of life in Neath. We've already seen, and many of us in the way we shop have contributed to this, to be honest. We've already seen how the town centre, under a combination of supermarket shopping and internet shopping and the recession, as the cuts bite deep, is seeing the centre decimated by closures. I get people talking to me about it all the time. The market, which is a jewel in the crown of this town centre, is clinging on. It's still pretty lively, but it's very hard. If we don't use the market, we're not going to keep it. So there's an imperative for us all to use it. But it's the post office closure, if this is to happen, the post office will say it's not a closure. They'll say it's a shift of venue. But as I'll explain, it's much more than a shift of venue. It's a dumbing down of the whole facilities that we have got used to for generations in expecting from our local postal services. And some people may think, and be hoodwinked into think, that this transfer from the existing office into a corner of a shop somewhere in the town centre is no big deal, but it really is. Let me just explain some of the services that will be lost if Crown Office status is withdrawn. First of all, there'll be no passport checks. There'll be no ready foreign currency where you can go in and get your euros or whatever you want to get if you're going on holiday. There'll be no 10-year driving licence renewal. There'll be no identity checking for mortgages or for criminal investigation bureau verification. If you're applying for a job and you have to get your name cleared for the obvious reasons, you won't be able to go to have your identity verified in the post office as you are now, because those facilities will be withdrawn. There are also border control services which involve identity checks that postal staff, post office counter staff, are trained and qualified to do. None of that will happen anymore. There'll also be a loss of financial specialists. There are quite a lot of people use the post office in Neath who don't trust a lot of the other financial services, but do trust the post office. Life assurance policies, things like that. Travel insurance, things like that. They'll go into the post office, they can trust the post office. That will go as well. And so you'll see a downgrading of the whole facilities and the services that we're used to. And just remember this, the nearest place, the nearest Crown Office that you will be able to get those services from will be Bridgend or Merthyr. There'll be nobody nearer because Swansea lost its Crown Office a little while ago. And it's been shifted into the corner of a shop. I don't know which one, but W.H. Smith. And so what the post office will say to everybody in the town is they'll say, oh, well, we're not really closing the post office. You'll be able to get your stamps. Yes, you will be able to get your stamps. But you won't be able to get all the things that I've mentioned and some more as well. Now, there's another argument that they're using. They're saying that the delivery office, and you know that that's under threat, we're fighting that, and we've managed to hold them off so far, and it may be that we see a bit of light at the end of the tunnel on that. But in any case, the delivery office, because the nature of letters and packets and so on has changed fundamentally, people are sending fewer letters now. They're doing a lot more email and telephoning and all other means of communication. So you don't get people writing as many letters as they used to, even 10 years ago, let alone 20 years ago and further back. So letter traffic is falling, although business traffic is going up, and packets, the things you get from Amazon and just about every other online facility, those are going through the roof. As a result of which the Neath delivery office is not fit for purpose anymore, because it just doesn't have the space, and I've been there and seen it, and they're right, and the staff feel the same way. So they're going to have to get a new delivery office. Now, their preferred option was to shift the Neath delivery staff into Swansea at Llansamlet and do it there. In fact, they've now, I think, realised it's not possible to do that. So they're now looking at an alternative facility, and there will have to be the delivery office moving out from above the Crown Office. Now, why is this relevant? Because the Royal Mail that deliver the letters own the building, and the Crown Office has to rent it from them. The old days, of course, of a public corporation, you didn't have all these different competing profit centres. We had a proper public service, but that's long gone. So the Crown Office will have to move at some point when that building is sold, but there's no reason or justification, in my view, for it to move earlier than that, at the very minimum. And then, it seems to me, there are many, many alternatives in the town centre. Somebody mentioned to me, yes, on Thursday night when I met the staff involved in the post office, Stedman Simpson's is empty, for example, at the moment. I don't know how long it'll be empty for. Town councillors and county borough councillors will know a lot better than me, or will be able to find out. But there's a lot of empty properties in the middle of Neath town centre, and I'm sure working with the town council and the county council, if the issue is they have to move out of the present Windsor Road premises because the building is going to be sold at some point in the future, well, if at that point, and only at that point, in the meantime, then the move happens. In the meantime, preparations can be made so we can keep the Crown Office status. So that's what we're fighting for. And I just want to end with these points. That the question it raises for me is anything off limits anymore? Is there anything that can't succumb and has to be fall at the level of making a profit, cutting down costs? What sort of community do we want to live in? What sort of society are we living in? We're already seeing cuts happen on a massive scale right across the country to worship a particular economic dogma which actually isn't working because it was designed to reduce borrowing and reduce the debt and reduce deficit. We know all those things have got to be reduced. What's happening? Debt's going up, borrowing is going up, the deficit is going up because the more people that can't find decent jobs, and by the way, that includes the downgrading of the postal counter staff in this Crown Office. Because when they transfer into a shop, those that do transfer will be, for the moment, keep their present status, what's under the TUPE regulations. But that won't last forever. And many of them may decide to take redundancy, as apparently every one of them took redundancy in the case of Swansea. So what you get is a downgraded pay level, more equivalent to typical shop pay, rather than the much better pay that they have in the Crown Office. What does that mean? People are spending less in the town centre. Therefore, the shops are getting even less income. Therefore, the whole thing kind of goes in a vicious circle downwards, which is what is happening in Wales and what is happening to the British economy in general. So this battle to keep the Crown Office is a vital battle to keep services which are precious to our local residents and we all use, but it's a wider argument about what kind of community do we want, what sort of Neath do we want, what sort of Wales do we want, and what sort of Britain do we want. So let's try and win this fight and put arguments as strongly as we can. Thanks very much.